this is my first post of small town tours, but honestly, this is not a small town. It is a city, but at one time it was a town, and I guess most cities were. But I would like to just still take a little tour of all these smaller cities that maybe don't get as much attention as the bigger cities do. This special event parking here in Escondido is because they have Cruisin' Grand in the summer. Cruisin' Grand is a summer event where old-timey cars come down the road, and there's food and fun and all different kinds of shopping and people just strolling and watching the old cars. That happens every summer. These buildings are what they call vintage because a lot of these buildings are the original buildings when the city was founded in the 1800s. It was first founded by a gentleman named Juan Bautista, and he owned the land, and it really was not granted to him officially until the governor of Mexico gave it to him in the year 1843. This building on the corner is empty, but it's been here for decades and decades. It's always been here, and it's been different businesses throughout time, but right now it's available if anyone wants to rent a space in downtown Escondido. I think it's one of the prettier buildings because it's got little flower boxes and very cute little shutters. As you can see, it's pretty empty. There's not a lot of people walking in this downtown area, and it is honestly a little bit early. It's like 10:30, 11. Usually people start coming for lunch, I would think, but maybe in the evening and during Cruisin' Grand, this place is hopping. I mean, it's packed. You can't even get parking. So it's kind of nice to walk down these wide sidewalks, which have just been redone. These used to be way more narrow, but now the sidewalks are a lot wider since they've kind of changed up this whole place. Anyway, earlier I was talking about 1843, how Bautista was finally given a land grant by the governor of Mexico. As I mentioned before, there was a land grant given to Juan Bautista in 1843, and this area became known as being part of the Rancho Rincon del Diablo area, which is called Devil's Corner, translated. And Devil's Corner is pretty sad because this doesn't look like a particularly evil place. But the reason why they called it Devil's Corner was because the early missionaries, they just felt like any land that was not owned by the church would be run by the devil. And that's what the early missionaries back then thought. So that's why they called it this Rancho Rincon del Diablo. And all of this was in the mid-1800s. So there's some history here in Escondido. A lot of businesses don't open early, I notice. I mean, this is a wellness spa. It's really pretty. It's got a lot of little flowers out. It doesn't open until 11, so it's just a few minutes before 11. So a lot of these places will open up the antique shops, and different local businesses will start to open up here. So it's very quiet. Just have a few people kind of meandering about. here on this building, another available building. If anyone wants to come here, guess what's coming? I can't even begin to guess. Let's take a peek inside. It's just construction. I don't know if anybody can see that. We can't guess what's coming. There wasn't even any hints about what would be coming. But it does raise my curiosity about it. As I was explaining earlier about the early missionaries in Devil's Corner, finally, this was all in 1843, but by 1886, there was the first 100-room Escondido hotel that was constructed, and that's right up there on that hill where you see those buildings in the distance. There used to be a hospital there called Palomar Hospital, but that has been moved to another location in the city, and now there's condos there. And they're very nice condos. They look nice. So this is, oh, I didn't realize this was open. Okay. I'm just going to take a little peek in here because here's a hair studio, and then there's these mysterious stairs going up somewhere, which, okay, let's just look really quickly. By the way, all of these quotes that I'm sharing with you is taken from the Escondido Tourism Center, and I will put the link for that information in the description below so that you can access the information yourself and read more about it. I just wanted to look up here. It's just a very scary looking, to me it's scary looking, because it looks abandoned and it's got that flickering fluorescent lighting. It's very eerie. So anyway, up there you can see where the Palomar Hospital used to be. Now is the condos, which at one time was a 100-room Escondido hotel, which kind of put Escondido on the map. It was still just a small town at that time. It was not considered a city, and it wasn't incorporated. Right now, here's another very large building that is available for lease. Oh, look. Some of the old-timey cars from Escondido Cruising Grand are here. They're parked here. Oh, because today's Friday, and I think this is one of the last nights where they'll be doing Cruising Grand. Usually it happens on a Friday night, and this whole place will be sectioned off with tons of people walking. Right? Sweet. So finally, this was in 1886 that hotel was constructed, but by 1887 there was a rail line that started from Oceanside here to Escondido, and when that happened, it really started to bring more people to Escondido, because if anybody knows anything about Manifest Destiny, which was a goal in the 1800s, was to spread the population, businesses, the trains across all of the United States. The rail line was a big part of that. The rail line helped expand the country. So because of that, Escondido, which was just an unknown, undiscovered piece of land that was owned by one explorer, began to grow when the rail line got started, which the rail line still runs. By the way, Cruising Grand started in 1908, and now it's still going on today. So a lot of traditions here that just kept going, which is kind of neat. Oh, here's a really neat art gallery, the Escondido Arts Partnership Gallery. Really nice. My art. There's a scary clown having a nightmare. That clown is having a nightmare right over there. Or maybe he's giving me a nightmare? I don't know. It could be both. There's an old theater there that's been there since the beginning. That's considered a historic building as well. But now it's not really a theater, it's just being used for different events. I think people probably rent out. Like right now, there's some university orientation happening there. So as I was mentioning before, this was in 1886. You got the 100-room Escondido Hotel. 1887, the very next year, the rail line. Well, the very next year after that, in 1888, Escondido was incorporated into a city, which is very, very interesting because it really wasn't that long, because 1843 was when Bautista was given the land by the governor of Mexico. And by 1888, which is just what, maybe 45 years later? 45 years later, and Escondido is already incorporated as a city. These stories are interesting because San Diego, which of course was founded by missionaries way back when. And that's interesting because Escondido was just unknown, unidentified, undiscovered. Nobody really cared about it. They called it Devil's Corner. And yet now the population has grown and people that were in San Diego spread out. And they came to this area, and some people have been here for generations. I really don't know what rolled ice cream is. I've never heard of rolled ice cream. Oh, it's fruit rolled ice cream. Okay, well, that could be pretty good. Here's the pupusa place. Up close. Really good in there. For right now, this is my first video on small town tours. And for the next video, I'm thinking of heading over to Rancho Santa Fe, California, because that has a beautiful historic old town that's been there for over 100 years as well. It's a very affluent, very rich area, and I'm just curious. Well, of course it's closer to the ocean as well, in Del Mar, but I just wonder at what level these things were populated. How did these communities grow? Was Escondido long after San Diego? was founded? What about Rancho Santa Fe, Del Mar, all the coastal towns? Were they populated and incorporated sooner than Escondido? I would think, being a coastal town, they would be, but that's not necessarily always true. I know there's areas by the coast where there's actual graveyards right there at the coastline. And I guess people didn't think that they would ever be populated because it would just remain a graveyard, like the people that are being buried are facing the ocean, where people who are still alive would want to eventually live. So it's just interesting what people back then thought. They never probably thought about future generations and what would happen to that land and that space. They were just thinking of the moment. And I think that's something we all kind of do. We think about only the moment, which is all we've got, right? We've only got this one moment, but there is a future, and you always have to consider that as well in all our decisions, I would think.
It's gotta be it. It says brunch.
I wanted to come down this way because the Grand Tea Room is here in downtown Escondido and is owned by a private owner who has a really cute little gift shop and a sweet tea room, and we happen to know her and we just love it in there. Tea time is just so fun. If you come to visit downtown Escondido, I would highly recommend doing that. And where else are you going to find a little duck ready to greet you and say hello? See, look, he's kind of just hanging around. Hi! Hey! So here in Escondido, as you see down the very end, they just constructed a good, kind of far away, so but you see that Escondido sign? It's like a welcome to the historical part of Escondido, a sign that was built not that long ago, and I think it's really added a lot of charm to the area, and it's kind of like sectioned it off to make it seem like it's more of a special area. Maple Street Plaza. Shops. You notice a lot of the buildings are adobe, and a lot of the buildings were adobe. Some of the first ones that were constructed here in the mid 1800s were adobe buildings, and some of them are still standing. So here we are, we're almost back to where we started. Upper East on Grand. I've eaten there too. I don't think I've had the brunch though. Looks nice. This must be the place. Used bookstore. So we're winding down. Thank you for coming with me on this walking tour. And hopefully this is the beginning of many fun walking tours. Right now I'm going to head to that French bakery, and I am going to grab a little snack and a little tea. Until next time, bye.